welcome to 2025. You know that we like to start the year with some very cool project. We have already made several boats, broke the world record in Stick Tower, and today we came to Barra do Piraí in Rio de Janeiro in the rocket journey of the Brazilian rocket Olympiad from Oba to make a two-stage rocket. Yes, and that you can make at home. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. What's up? The project that we're going to show you today here is to inaugurate a new category of rockets in the Brazilian Astronomy Olympiad, the Brazilian Astronomy Olympiad. They have a very traditional sample of rockets, the MOBFOG, which now will be called Obafog, which has several categories, from the simplest to the most complex of pet bottle rockets and everything else. And the idea now is to go really far to have a multi-stage rocket category of 2 or more stages. But why? After all, what does a rocket gain from having more stages? Isn't it much easier to make a simple rocket that doesn't take apart, right? No, for a rocket to be truly powerful, it has to have more than one stage. Let's understand using this rocket here, which is the Saturn V, the rocket that went to the moon. The actual spacecraft, the part that has the equipment where the astronauts are, it's just this little tip here. Everything else is fuel. So when the rocket is launched, this fuel starts to burn, it starts to be used up and leaves an empty tank here. So you can imagine that there comes a time when the rocket is already 70 kilometers high and it has already consumed a huge portion of the fuel. Does it still make sense to carry this dead weight? It doesn't. So what does it do? It decouples. It releases a part, which we call this the first stage. This goes away. And then there are other engines. The rocket continues. There will also come a time when all the fuel that was here will be consumed and it decouples once again, throws away this part, continues with the third stage. Eventually this too will be discarded, but anyway, you get the idea that for a good rocket to work, a powerful rocket, it needs to leave behind the parts that have already been used and gets lighter and lighter. All very cool, but thinking about the OBA competition itself, there will be a problem. It's very likely that the two-stage rocket at first won't be able to go very far. It won't go as far as that simple one made of just a bottle on foot. But Ibre, what's the logic behind this then? If the rocket goes less far, it's more technological. What's the meaning of all this? The problem is that OBA is such a cool competition. And so many intelligent people have already participated in it that the rockets with a single bottle are becoming very, very advanced. The current record is already over 500 meters away, so the guys who participate now have to keep improving tiny little details to see if they can get further than the other. So it would be cooler if we developed a different type of rocket that will open a new door to develop a lot of things. In short, the idea is to bring a mountain of new technological challenges, get the guys to work. There's a very cool quote that Kennedy said in the United States when the country was trying to get to the moon, which is the following. We choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. So let's go. The idea here is to make a basic two-stage rocket. This rocket is for anyone who wants to start from it. The rocket that you can make in the simplest way at home, which is cool, that works. And of course, everyone will want to improve it to get ahead of others. And I imagine that in the future, we will have 3-stage rockets with several different propellants and all that. This is the logic of the rocket that we are going to teach how to make today. There are 2 polyethylene terephthalate bottles, a large one for the first stage, on top of it goes a smaller bottle for the second stage. The first stage is a water bottle injected with compressed air, which is activated first. From a base, this compressed air will inflate the bottle and wants to get out desperately. The water stays here. At the moment you release a clip here below. The water comes out and pushes the whole setup. In the second stage, we have a bladder full of vinegar and loose baking soda inside the bottle. They are not in contact, but at the moment, the first stage gives a jerk. There's a spike here that will poke this bladder that will burst and release the vinegar in the middle of the baking soda. At this moment, this chemical reaction generates a lot of carbon dioxide, and then it will create pressure inside the second stage until the moment it detaches from the second bottle. The first and second stages are decoupled, essentially creating 3 separate rockets. One is the whole rocket, like the big white rocket that I showed you. Another is the first stage rocket and the second stage rocket. We're going to learn to do it all. Professor Patrick Martins, the Education and Innovation Coordinator of Brazilian Astronomy Olympiad from Casimiro de Abreu, Rio de Janeiro, developed this entire project and visited here today. Let's take this chance to send a hug to Casimiro de Abreu and the Batista Educational Center, where Patrick teaches. Guys, continue doing experiments there and being more and more curious, deal? Let's launch this rocket so you can see how it flies. Now for a special effect with Patrick's help. Just look at that beauty. Rocket emerging. Welcome, Patrick. Let's talk a little bit about this toy here, right? It's our version of Saturn V. In the first stage, we will be using a 2-liter polyethylene terephthalate bottle here. In the second stage, a 1.6 US fluid ounces bottle, but it could be 20.28 fluid ounces. It could even be a liter, so there are 2 little rockets. There are 2 little rockets like the traditional OBA rocket, only they are integrated into each other, and we are going to throw one away during the flight. Shall we start by making a small one? Let's go. The list of all the materials we are going to use is in the video description. The basics of the rocket are 2 little bottles. So one is where we are going to have all the propellant here. Inside. And the other one will serve for us to make this tip of the rocket. And also a skirt below where we attach the fins. Patrick calculated here the ideal would be about 9 centimeters here from the mouth of the bottle. One way for us to cut this straight is to pass the tape here and try to make a straight draw, right, Patrick? So I'll cut the tip first, and then I need to cut the skirt, that part that goes underneath, which is just a bottle tube that I fit on the bottom. Now I have to take care to align this well, right? Put it on the table, push it, and see if it spins normally. We're going to have to attach our fins directly to the body of the rocket. This is going to make it difficult to fix the fin, because superglue doesn't stick very well to the polyethylene terephthalate bottle. But adheres well to
insulating tape,
which in turn adheres well to the polyethylene terephthalate bottle. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because look, we've suffered a lot already trying to stick stuff on the polyethylene terephthalate bottle.
It's a
transition material. As the fin is fixed on the tape, and the tape gets this little mobility, even when the bottle swells, it will not break the fins or unstick the fins. So far, no secret here. Rocket nozzle. You told me we could simply cap this off here.
bottle, but
it's not like that. It's possible to give improvement in this, including that is what will bring us an advantage, which is an aerodynamic advantage, which is to put a screw.
Here, exactly.
Is this a disinfectant cap?
I didn't see the body, I just saw the
Cap coming here. Pierce this cap and put the screw. We have 4 little nuts to put there. It's him that will displace the CG, which is the center of gravity of the rocket, forward. In other words, it gets heavier in the front. Exactly. It's almost ready, right? Just the fins left. First thing, what are the fins made of? This is Parana paper, isn't it?
Exactly, not at all.
But it's more of a notebook cover. The shape of the fin, everyone makes their own. Exactly. And it gets glued here at the end of this skirt. I'm calling this a skirt.
Like this, yeah, but it is a skirt, it's a skirt.
Let's put a support on this side and put
Another one on the opposite side. That's all there is to it. We've already got the second stage. Let's do the same thing.
Patrick did really well. Let's move on to the next one then. Let's go. It's the same thing as the small one. Cut the top off a bottle to be the tip of the rocket and attach it to the rear of the main bottle. On the top of the bottle, which remains whole, goes that skirt, that piece of the bottle body. Apply the electrical tape and larger fins, similar to the small rocket. Let's check if it worked. But we need to connect them together and ensure it will disconnect during flight. A miniature rocket launch base at the tip of the fairing. This launch base is made of polyvinyl chloride pipe. At the tip, there is a small cap. This pipe is put from inside to out, and the cap is held underneath. There has to be enough pipe left to fit the next rocket. And to fit it well, we apply some masking tape and secure it with super glue.
Now it's time to
Put on the little rubbers that are going to serve as stoppers, right? Exactly. We are going to use 2 little rings from the mouth of the bladder. The first one goes a centimeter from the bottle nip, and the other one goes an additional centimeter away. To attach, use super glue under the rubber band, being careful not to get any on top, as it will harden. For extra security and to prevent the rubber band from slipping, wrap it with 1.5 turns of porous adhesive tape. Now we need our second stage activation system. I see you've brought some pieces of barbecue stick. That's right, I like to do it like this, see? Tilt it, let the glue drip down. Now we're going to integrate the first stage into the rocket. Let's go, rockets are ready. To launch, the lower rocket will be attached to a polyvinyl chloride base that we've already taught how to make here on the World Manual, and it's also on the UBA's website. The video description contains the reference. This base allows you to pressurize the rocket and release it at the optimal moment. It doesn't come out. Put it on the ground, we put the iron skewers. Exactly, to ensure that the base won't move. Every connection system always needs lubrication. Put a little on your finger, wet the spot where it will fit, and also the part of the bottle's mouth. We launch, Patrick? We need to put our fuel/propellant in here. We're going to put a water in the lower compartment, i.e. in our first stage. We're going to pump because our first stage works with water and compressed air. As for the upper stage, the second stage, we are going to be working with vinegar bicarbonate. Using the reaction time of vinegar with bicarbonate to increase the pressure in the second stage and it disconnects automatically is the easiest way. 600 milliliters of water in the lower rocket, and now here on top it gets complicated. Vinegar and bicarbonate. We're going to use a mega vinegar syringe. Look what Patrick taught us. We put 200 milliliters of vinegar in the big bottle, then cut the ring of the bladder, and use this rubber band to hold the bladder on the end of the hose. Then the bladder goes inside the rocket, and it's just squeeze the big bottle to transfer the vinegar. When it's done, we pull and the bladder closes by itself. Tip, it's cool to put a little drop of cooking oil inside the second stage so this bladder can move inside the bottle. When the rocket from the first stage accelerates, the rocket goes forward. The balloon is standing still, it tends to stay in the same place. It displaces down. Then the balloon pops, it will stay like this. Right, shall we go? Ready, us? So let's test this rocket in practice. We took the car and went to Barra do Piraí in Rio de Janeiro for the rocket journey of the Brazilian Astronomy Olympiad. The Brazilian Astronomy Olympiad. It's an event that happens every year. These are students and teachers who achieved good marks in regional competitions, and now they come to test their rockets on a runway. I need to tell you that when I arrived here, I discovered it was much cooler than I imagined.
Students who launched rockets at their schools in May of their 6th or 9th year are here. The 3 best teams from Brazil have been invited to represent their schools.
We caught a rainy day and Patrick said it'll be windy. I'll waterproof the rocket's fins since the paper for Paraná won't hold. First launch that we're going to do today to test the first stage of the rocket, check its stability. Oh, we're going to test a rocket that isn't the one we built. It's identical, it has a protective cap on the tip here, because it's to prevent damage to the tip. It's just the first stage, I connect it here. Connect the pump, now let's go. Did you say 50? Let's try 80. Oh, it's already done. 60 is already hitting 80 here, Patrick. It's the yellow to release. Test rocket launch, first stage. Ignition in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. And it's gone. First stage approved, stable. It went well, right? It did. Each cone, 25 meters it went, made about 100 meters. For 80 pounds per square inch, we are getting a very high yield against the wind, stable flight. Now,
We have
to test the
second stage.
green, the beak would have broken without this protection. Test the second stage's stability using the same process.
Let's also test with water. Launching.
We're here with water. Okay, let's go. That quickness now here. You're arrested, okay? It's releasing. That's right. It's arrested again. That's right. Same scheme and pressure as before. Listen up, everyone. Preparing. Second stability test. Activation in 5,
4, 3.
2, 1, launch.
Wow!
It was straight. We now have 2 rockets.
That worked first and second.
Stage. How many meters? Gave 75 meters, approximately. Do you think when launching the 2 adds one with the other? More or less?
That's what should happen in theory, correct?
Let's go hunt the little critter there. The beak varied here. It's broken. The plastic broke. We already know that the rockets will suffer. The third test now is of the two coupled stages, already with all the mass they will have, but the second stage will not leave. They will fly together. Test number 3 in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
launch. Oh my goodness.
Patricia, perfect.
A stable flight. It was perfect. Now we know that the two stages work like a big rocket. And look, I think the fins didn't even break. No, how beautiful. Look, now it's a decoupling test. Only the second stage will go up, except it's attached to the first stage, not at the base. And this I'll have to test by hand, because you have to jerk the rocket and puncture the balloon that's on the second stage. And the baking soda goes now. We have about 30 to 35 grams of baking soda here. Bringing it already weighed saves time, huh? It's time for the vinegar bath. Decoupling test in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, Patrick, this doesn't want to slide. We didn't put the oil inside. That's why the test is done. First failure today. Test 2 attempt in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. System working. What a smell. Vinegar. It's time to test everything together. Trick prepared astronauts to put in the rocket. It's another level here, Ibere. Aunt Pamela. Professor Canale also can't be missed. Just to record. Patrick is not getting on this rocket. I don't know if I have a lot of trust in a person who doesn't have the guts to fly in their own
Rocket, now!
It's time to prepare for the official flight. I'm going to be stricter with the amount of water here. Test the system to confirm if it's truly locked.
Locked.
Check the trigger. The trigger comes out. Now it's for real. Let's go. Look, now it's all or nothing. Attention for official launch. First multi-stage flight rocket from the Manual of the World category from Obafog. Counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. And now, will the measurement, has it added up?
Now
We'll adjust for the parabola's peak launch. Let's go and speed up the reaction, alright?
She was kind of
Slow, she had to be well prior.
right. Another thing that the
Patrick explained is that at the moment when the first stage has already thrown all the water out, it's time to launch the second stage, because from there, it begins to slow down. You have to launch right in the first few seconds. It can't be at the end of the
trajectory, exactly.
second official launch of the multi-stage manual Do Mundo and Obafog rocket in 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
launch. Wow, it took a long time. Maybe he went even further.
Then the first one.
Let's go check it out now. We need this data. He drove it into the ground here. It's full of mud. The first stage went much further than the first time we launched, and I think it went further now. For sure, even having related afterwards. Let's have a look here. This is the 100-meter line. If we're launching at cone 50, which is cone 150,
100.
and 80. We persuaded Patrick to slightly raise the bottle pressure. The bottles can handle up to 150 pounds per square inch, and we were launching at 100 pounds per square inch. Let's try 120 now, and we're going to increase the vinegar and baking soda so the chemical reaction happens faster. No, let's abort. Look at the state of the rocket. Oh, and the front.
Got twisted. Yes.
It's abort launch, red line.
Can do it.
Pull. You can pull slowly. Let's realign and go back to 100 pounds per square inch. Well, I believe that this is going to help us. Third launch, multi-stage category, yay, fog manual of the world. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
On launch! Yikes!
Now it's done. That was beautiful.
Liked it, right?
What?
Cool! Wow!
That was really loud.
Very much so. And in the
Height of the parable, see? Yeah, it took him a while to let go, but he let go at the height of the parable. $119 and 70.
Perfect!
We have an official beaten record here, 119 and 70. It's not such an absurd number because we just started these rockets 2
stages, right?
The challenge for you watching, who have participated in the rocket show and already launched rockets, is to beat this record, right, Patricia? Now we're going for the 1 kilometer record. That's right. So yeah, new category here in the Oba Rocket journey. And after all, the idea is for you to evolve on top of what we just showed you. There's a lot of cool stuff to do. If this doesn't deserve a thumbs up, I don't know what does.
Subtitle Adriana Zanotto.